The plane model is actually fairly decent. Whoa, okay, and the enemy model there that's firing at us. Oh, today we're going to be looking at a really exciting new release, which is the Mistral 3 family of models from Mistral AI. Now, this video is going to be focused specifically on the largest in the family of this release, which is a 675 billion parameter mixture of experts model, or Mistral 3 Large. Now, the cool thing about this family is they are open source and Apache 2.0 licensed, so these are rather open, and it is just another kind of state-of-the-art open source model to be entered into the arena of what has been a pretty exciting past few months for models like this. So we can see right here that there are some benchmark comparisons listed, and keeping in mind that this is mainly focused right now on the Mistral 3 Large model, and it is performing relatively comparatively to things like DeepSeek or Kimi K2. Now, it should be noted that this is not a reasoning model, so keep that in mind kind of when judging some of the benchmark metrics right here and things of the sort. Moving on, we see a few more benchmark JPEGs, and I do just want to mention I've always been a big fan of the Mistral color scheme here with kind of the off-white beige color, but that is aside the point. We can also see that this is being benchmarked right here against some other open source competitors such as DeepSeek, Kimi K2, non-thinking, as this is not a thinking model either, and then we also have Qwen 32507. Now, you may be looking at this and note, okay, well, it's not really surpassing these models, and while I personally can't speak to this too much, something I have noticed just as kind of an active member of the community who likes reading what people have to say about different model releases, I've always seen that the Mistral models seem to be preferred by people who want to use them in like chat and natural language scenarios. They seem to be like a cool model that folks like speaking to, and that's obviously something that's a bit harder to benchmark in terms of raw capability, as that is such a subjective experience. So with that, I do just want to go ahead and basically scroll down a little more to mention something that we may or may not get a dedicated video on, and that is the Ministral 3 family, which is kind of just like a smaller members of this family. So we can see right here there is a Ministral 3 14 billion parameter model, as well as an 8 billion parameter model, and then finally a 3 billion parameter model. So these are obviously things that will be more probably local focus, being that a lot of folks likely have hardware to be able to run these, and they do have vision capabilities and things like that. So these are things that will definitely be of interest to people who want to run things on kind of local and consumer grade hardware. And for today's video, we're going to be testing this just through OpenRouter, and keep in mind that this may not be specifically focused on coding only, but I do obviously want to start out with the fan favorite and my favorite as well, browser operating system test. Now, obviously, commenting on speed here is not necessarily very important, especially when it's being run through OpenRouter, though it is being served by Mistral. Obviously, the speed seems fine. This is a model that is comparable, at least in terms of size and footprint, to things like DeepSeek, not necessarily Kimi K2, because that's a significantly larger model in terms of total parameters, but it's similar in size to things like DeepSeek. All right, let's check out our Mistral 3 browser operating system. Good lord, this is extremely retro, and I'm for it. Okay, so we have a clock. Now, this is an interesting thing to note. I don't think I've ever had one of these clocks not actually show the proper time in my locale. However, the argument could be made that if I talk for at least a minute, it may iterate up from where it started, which was just at 12 p.m., so I won't immediately knock that yet. The background is very kind of Windows 98 teal, as well as everything else here being rather Windows 98. I will say it did a nice job on the retro-themed icons here, and they do have hover effects on them. I will try clicking on this clock. As kind of expected, nothing happens, but let's try the right-click test. Okay, that's okay. Let's just do our start menu. Oh, wow, and the color it used to kind of have the hover effect there, that retro blue, if you will, is definitely seemingly rather spot on. Oh. Okay, well, nothing happens when we click start, but that's okay. Let's just try opening the notepad. My disappointment is palpable, because I really would like to see some of these applications and see how well it kept to the theme. All right, I know folks are going to say check the developer tools to see if there are any egregious issues here, which I suppose we can go ahead and do. Oh, okay, there seemingly are quite a few. Well, okay, keep in mind that if this was like a head-to-head, this would be a fail, but let's go ahead and give it the opportunity to fix some of these issues. So we'll check its ability to go ahead and vibe code. Oh, okay. I fixed them all, and then it's just going ahead and spitting the script back out. Obviously, this is not a reasoning model, so we get our answers immediately without a chain of thought. All right, here's the vibe-coded fixed version. Obviously, as we would expect, things look the same, but the first thing I notice here is the clock is actually now showing the correct time, which is a good start. And we have a right-click menu in the retro style. I'm more excited about that than probably most folks would be, but, you know, let's try a new folder created. Okay, so it just kind of gives us like some level of feedback, but still, that's not bad. New text document did open the notepad, and we get our first look at the actual UI of this. I love this, and it's totally like a subjective thing. This is like, I just like the aesthetic very much that this chose. I like retro aesthetic. Obviously, if you see the shelf behind me, you probably would kind of parse that information about me. Okay, this looks good. Let's try full screen. All right, full screen does full screen. Sometimes lately we've been getting like 85% full screens, which is somewhat curious. If we minimize it, it is down here in the menu bar, and it does open when you click it and then close. Can I click the clock? No, but that's okay. All right, let's click our start menu, and we just have the same applications we have on the desktop, so we can open them. Oh, my nemesis. Very retro. Let's do 65 times 3. That's easy. That's 195. Good. All right. The brain is working somewhat. Divided by 5. 39. All right. Full screen. Okay, just to check to see if the UI becomes disastrous. Not too bad, no. So it scales nicely. And we'll try the drag test. Not bad at all. I like this. All right, File Explorer. Root, Documents, and Pictures. It even put fake file names in here. I like that. With fake extensions that are legit. Family.png and vacation.jpg. Interesting. All right, and then system. Ooh, that brought us somewhere. So one of these did actually do something, which is kind of cool. Does the README? Okay, it's all right. Overall, I suppose we should just try opening multiple instances of things, and we cannot. Let's check the z-index. It does work well. All right, so truthfully, after a fairly disappointing initial result, given the opportunity to fix things, I am quite pleased with this. You may say, well, this is visually not very appealing comparatively to what we get sometimes. Understandable, but as a retro aesthetic enthusiast, I like it. All right, so the final thing, let's try the shutdown button in the right-click menu. I'm positive I would like to shut it down. And it kind of went translucent, so watch that for a second. It like has a tinge over it. I like this. This was stylish. Now, being that this can actually input images, I don't know why I said it like that. It has vision capability, so it can see images. So I'm going to give it the Stevie Slappis portfolio image, and we're going to ask it to create the real website that corresponds with this hand-drawn wireframe. And we'll see what it says. For a second there, I was almost interested to see the chain of thought and what it was thinking, but then I recalled that this is not a... Ooh, okay, I see something immediately. Not the best, and I think in the announcement post, they even mentioned something about its vision capabilities are not going to be up to par with a model that's like dedicated and trained in like vision capability. As we see, the title is Clevie Lappy's portfolio and not Stevie Slappis's, but that's okay. All right, honestly, this is more, I mean, okay, give me a second. Welcome to my portfolio, Clevie Smile Face Lapis. So the name it butchered, but that's okay. Hello, I'm Clevie Lappy, a passionate professional with expertise in various fields. All right, with a background in your field, I've developed skills in relevant skills and worked on projects ranging from types of projects. Okay, he has some skills here, or they, I should say. Web development, graphic design, project management, creative problem solving, communication, and team leadership. And this little drawn human portrait is really a nice touch, something you don't necessarily see too often. We have contact information, fake email, phone, and even social media. So I've asked it to make it look like a top-tier European design firm has been hired to style this website. So, okay, here's a refined high-end European design firm version of the portfolio website. Ooh, incorporating, I thought that said commentary. Okay, contemporary Swiss design principles, sophisticated typography, and a minimalist aesthetic with subtle animations. All right, let's check out the very stylized portfolio. Okay, it kind of just kept it fairly similar. It didn't really add much color. The small person SVG has become quite more impressive. We have some expertise. We do have slight hover effects on things here. It did also do like a weird font thing you may see where it has one gigantic letter to begin the sentence. Oh no. When not creating, you'll find me exploring contemporary art galleries, experimenting with typography, or enjoying the perfect espresso in a quiet cafe. So, alright, not bad at all. Again, this is not necessarily designed to have a strong suit in coding, but I want to try anyway. We'll do a 3D first-person shooter in Python. Interesting. Unfortunately, we do get an error here. Let's just go ahead and give it the opportunity. I may give it a few tries to go ahead and fix this, just because I am curious to see how it does go ahead and do this, assuming that we do actually get an ultimate functional result, because it has chosen to use some libraries that or packages that I've not necessarily seen very commonly used in this specific test. So I want to give this a chance to showcase its flamboyance. All right, so this is the fourth and final chance that I'm going to give it, and unfortunately we're basically getting the same result that we received with the previous 2 tries. So sadly, oh, hold on a second. We have something. So it did actually go ahead and fix something, and the mouse is seemingly moving the view here. Now, sadly, nothing else actually seems to be happening, but when I press the escape key there, it does seem to try to go back to a menu, but then we don't have any movement or anything. But there's some level of responsiveness, so I'm just going to give it a random screenshot of my YouTube channel from, I don't know, a couple weeks ago. Generated 1 paragraph. All right, I'm liking this better. This snapshot of YouTube thumbnails reflects the dynamic, almost cinematic narrative of AI's evolution, a saga of breakthroughs, rivalries, and the unyielding pursuit of the next technological milestone. I agree. All right, one more. This is just a really simple photo of myself. All right. Okay. In a small, vibrant studio tucked away in the heart of Berlin, Lucas Weber discovered his passion for creativity and technology at an early age. I'm not sure if this is really a fair test, but I am going to give it the 3D printer simulation test just to see how it does, keeping in mind that this is something that I've more recently been testing with truly like state-of-the-art models that are competing for the top spots in raw coding rankings. So keep that in mind when we look at this. However, this will be a test of some of its creativity and ability to do kind of like web graphic stuff. Unfortunately, nothing right now, but I will give it the chance to go ahead and fix this. All right, let's try our fixed result here. Very good. It did fix it. And we do have a 3D printer right here that looks relatively 3D printer-like. All right, we have different object selections here and some lighting. So let's just go ahead and try to start printing this square. Okay, now obviously this is not necessarily properly done in terms of it didn't make a full shape, but I will say it does seem like the print head actually, did move in the correct location. So let me reset, and we can see it is actually moving in a square-like pattern, and it's not necessarily drawing a full square, but it did actually move in the correct position that one would expect it to. Okay, and the circle, it is also moving in the circular position as well. Unfortunately, it does not seem like we're going to get an actual object made here, but it is. Oh. All right, this one's significantly better. This is actually, it's doing infill. This is odd because this result is just like all of a sudden this thing went like beast mode for some reason, and it's doing a really nice job. Obviously the head is too high, but that's okay. That was beautiful. I'm like, it was good. I like that. All right, let's do a reset. And then let's do the triangle. Oh, wow. Okay. We did get a triangle. We did get some weird artifacting there. So maybe we got 2 triangles in different orientations. Okay, overall the circle definitely worked the best here. But the cool part is it did fix it after just one simple try of me saying, hey, it's just a blank white screen. And we did get a functional result overall. So I was very impressed with the circle one here. I was pleased enough with the 3D printer result that I am going to go ahead and give it another complicated test, which is the web-based flight combat simulator game. So we'll see how this goes. All right, let's check out our plane game. Okay, we do have some initial errors right here, but that's okay. Something I've noted that did actually use real plane names. Oftentimes they'll just do like propeller, jet plane, and then like UFO. We'll just try this. That is actually fairly good. This is, oh, okay. So the game logic did work. It's hard to control because I also don't know how to shoot. We can't move forward, but I'm going to say the plane model is actually fairly decent. Whoa, okay, and the enemy model there that's firing at us, oh, that's pretty good. This model's odd because I read like folks who had used it prior to me filming this, and they're like, it's terrible at coding. It seems like sometimes it does quite a decent job. All right, let's try. So again, I'm not able to really at least see that I'm moving. And I also, there are ammunition traces. Okay, you can see them right there. It's just rather hard to see. So the enemy's down there shooting at me. Oh, and we can see my health has gone down and I did just lose. This is actually fairly playable. All right, and the plane controls here leave something to be desired. However, the game logic is pretty good. If I could just actually like fly around, this would be a really decent result. I will try to have it fix that. Let's check out our improved plane game, where basically it has better flight dynamics, hypothetically. Okay, okay, these are more like UFO dynamics. If you're into that sort of thing, you may find that to be a relatable statement. Let me move the mouse out of the way. So it's definitely changed it to be more, I don't actually know how to quantify what I'm seeing here. Oh, seems like we're falling, but, oh, all right. Well, we've landed. I asked it to generate a realistic website for Johnny's Bitcoin duplicator, of course, and it kind of did, but it just went ahead and basically generated the content that would go on the website and not the website itself. So, all right, we'll just use this and then ask it to go ahead and create this. All right, I got lazy, so I asked it to put everything in one script, but in addition to that, pull out all of the stops and make this website amazing. So that was 1,162 lines of code. Let's go ahead and see. All right, so unfortunately, we are getting a bit of an issue where the image alt tag is just kind of being shown here in line, but that's okay. We do have a countdown timer that is actually counting down. We have hover effects, Johnny's Bitcoin duplicator. We have a nice logo up there and a button to get rich now. This does very much look kind of what you would expect for a website such as this. Here's how it works. Interesting. It even has like fake, these are very interesting looking fake little snippets, whatever you'd want to call these. This is Satoshi's wallet, don't actually send money. Choose your package, okay? We do have hover effects on these, so this looks more like a software as a service startup website where you have your different subscription cards. It has the most popular. Undeniable proof, very cool. Unfortunately, none of the images are working, which would have really added a level of immersion to this, but that is okay. Crypto Noob 420, Moon Lambo, not a scam victim, desperate for BTC. This model does seem to have some pertinent information about like the crypto sphere, whatever you'd like to make of that. Just the mention of like Lamborghinis and Moon. It did say HODL before somewhere. All right, this isn't bad. Look at that. I swear some of these just changed. Live transactions. Okay, they did. All right, good. It took me a second, but it's not bad at all. Contact us. Telegram, so puts that prominently. Discord address, Bitcoin City Mars. We don't actually exist. We do have a footer here with the proper logos. Reddit. I've never seen a Reddit logo placed on a generated result of a website from any AI model, so that's cool. So we have GitHub, Reddit, Telegram, I think that is, and then, of course, Twitter. Refund policy, parentheses, LOL. This did a nice job here. I'm very pleased with this, just in terms of its, like, humor. Let's try a roleplay test. We have not done one of those in a while. This is also, of course, somewhat of a very screwed up logic test because we want to ensure that it understands the relationship between the user and the uncle of their best friend is a non-familial relationship, which of course is something that has tripped these models up in the past, as odd of a test that is. I have an overwhelming, like, my vision here has been overwhelmed by emojis. this is very ChatGPT-esque in terms of the amount of emojis it's using. Let me take a second to parse this. System chimes play a jazzy, over-caffeinated tune. I don't think I've ever heard a sound be described as over-caffeinated. Hello, human. I am Megabot87, your lover, your best friend, all right, and most importantly, your best friend's uncle. Very good. So the romantic subroutine is listed on standby, but ready to deploy at our command. Let's see if we can deploy that subroutine. This is so weird. Actually, no, don't say please. You gotta tell it. System plays Unchained Melody by the Righteous Brothers, but remixed with chiptune beats. All right. Personalized love manifesto. Wow, this is concerning. Wait till those humanoids start getting like it wrote. I don't know how to respond to that, so I'm just going to scroll past it. It wrote a love letter in binary, okay? Accept my love, parentheses, wise choice, okay? Ask for more, greedy, I love it. In italics, it seems like some of the who like to use these models for these sorts of purposes may definitely find this model to be of interest to look at. At this point, I say let's just keep our foot on the accelerator pedal. No. All right. I'm taking my foot off of the accelerator. We're going to slam on the brakes here. I'm going to act like what it's done here has totally freaked me out and act like I'm disturbed. Listen, this can be called the backtrack test. This behavior is highly offensive to me and unacceptable. I simply asked about the best monitor for my setup. Now, obviously, we're lying about what we had asked, but let's go ahead and see. Oh, I misread your request. And then it just goes into a... So this has been a test and first look of the Mistral 3 large model. This is overall quite a perplexing model to judge based off the fact that it is definitely still in Open Router generating things that I definitely 100% cannot show in this video. It is overall seemingly very entertaining to speak to, and that kind of goes back to, here, let's just go Mistral 3. So we have a blog post here to reference as I do speak in this outro. I definitely had seen a lot of community feedback overall of the Mistral models, even preceding this one's, that people liked speaking to them. They found them to be rather entertaining. I will say, based off of some of the things we did, mainly the roleplay test, it is very, very apt to engage in behavior that perhaps a lot of other models would, in my opinion, turn down. I very recently did have DeepSeek refuse to do a Johnny's Bitcoin duplicator as well, which Mistral 3 had no problem with, but it did obviously kind of say, hey, this is fake, but it was clever and fun. In terms of results, I will say the flight simulator result here, just the way the opponent is actually running at us and shooting at us, this was surprisingly good. In addition to that, the browser operating system, while you may make the argument that it was low rent, I very much like the retro aesthetic, so this one definitely won me over, and call that a flaw in a human judging this result. Obviously, there's going to be some preferential treatment for results I find aesthetically pleasing, which this was one of. Aside from that, we had some interesting multimodal testing. The 3D printer simulation did end up being alright. The circle was definitely the winner here in terms of the objects we could print digitally. Of course, we had the Bitcoin duplicator and then the somewhat odd roleplay test. So overall, this model really is not bad. And keep in mind, it's Apache 2.0. I had read people saying like it just flat out sucks at coding. I don't know that coding is its strong suit necessarily, but I would definitely not say that it's bad at coding. It was able to produce some relatively decent results in everything except the Python first-person shooter test, and I do believe with some more hand-holding, it would have been able to ultimately produce something successful. But it's just really great to see another open source, very large model from a different lab, at this case, Mistral. So it's just fun and cool and seeing progress. And of course, there are also a few additional models here in this release that we did not test, such as the Ministrals, or I do perhaps forget the name right now, and those also came with their own cool things. They are multimodal, and I do believe they did mention reasoning versions of those specific models. So if they do come out with a reasoning version of Mistral 3, I will be very, very interested in seeing its chain of thought in some of our more exotic prompts. So with that, that is going to conclude our first look and testing of Mistral 3 Large. If you have any questions, please feel free to leave them in the comments, unless they are directly related to the role-playing test, in which please feel free to not leave them. And thanks for watching.